Guys, welcome to Tiffany Tells Testimonies Podcast, Season 2, Episode 8. T-T-T-P. You know what I mean? T-T-T-P. Are you with me? Oh, yeah. We having church ain't going nowhere. Stomp. Y'all know about that song. Don't play. That's not even the song I was going to bring up today, but since we're here, might as well. Shake, shake, shake. Shake the devil off. Shake, shake, shake. Shake the devil off. Shake, shake, shake. Shake the devil off. In the name of Jesus, shake the devil off. Okay, that's for all my fellow vocation, Bible study, summer programs. You know how we did it in the back in the day. We always sang that song. So we just stomping the devil out, and we stomping them out today on Season 2, TTTP, Episode 8. Y'all, guys, it's Episode 8. Last season, we only did to 5. This season, we're just moving and grooving. And so I'm excited for you guys to join me today. We have another, I'm not going to call him a guest anymore because he's not a guest. He's just been here. He is who he is. You know what I'm saying? The father of my child, my husband. Give it up for RJ Napier, y'all. Woo!
What's happening?
Woo!
Little audience in there?
Woo!
Come on. Look at that.
Woo! RJ Napier is here with us again, but on a different occasion. You know, we have brought some other topics up that he's helped me navigate and groove and move with those things. But, you know, it came to my thinker up here. He has not shared his testimony. Y'all believe that? He has not shared his testimony on here. And so the Lord placed it in my heart right here and was like, he needs to share his testimony. So this is a treat because this is his first time sharing his testimony publicly. You know what I'm saying? So, and he gets to do it on here. And so I feel honored. I feel privileged for this opportunity for him to share. And so I kind of want to jump in with how I jump in usually, but we're going to switch it up a little bit because his official name is Rhondal Napier. So we know RJ. Some of y'all know RJ.
My God, today.
Who is Rhondal Napier?
That's a good question. Starting it off, I mean, I'm a child of God.
Yeah.
I am a son. I am a husband. I'm a father, a brother, and, many different things. But I think those hit the most vital points are all those elements.
And where'd that name come from? I mean, we could just jump right in. Who else is named that? I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, I know, but
Crazy.
maybe y'all don't know.
Well,
who else?
My dad's name is Rhondal as well. So
Okay.
My dad's name was Rhondal Andre Napier. My name is Rhondal James Napier.
Oh, you dropped the middle name.
I put it on in there.
We're for a treat. If he dropping the middle name, guys,
I'm up in there.
it's going down.
It's a biblical name.
Come on, James.
James is in the Bible.
Which is one of my favorite books of the Bible.
You know?
Like, actually, it is my favorite book of the Bible, because it just,
One of the sons of thunder.
It's like, what?
Smack him in there.
It's like, your tongue is disgusted.
Yeah,
it's like,
he's going in on people.
You tired? You don't want to persevere? Oh, well, push through.
Come on, get it there.
You double-minded. It's dang. It's just
Smack City.
all the things. Don't get me on a tangent, but
Sorry.
come back. Okay. But yes, Rhondal James Napier.
That's it.
Okay, let's just jump in. Let's start from the beginning. So, where are you from? I gotta act like I don't know these things.
Okay.
So where are you from? What was your household like? How did you grow up? Where did you, anything you want to share about your childhood upbringing?
Yeah, for sure. So, again, my dad's name is Rhondal Napier. My dad was actually a pastor. So my dad was a preacher, pastor for the AME Church here in Waco. So I grew up in Waco. This is where I was born. My mom, her and my dad met through church. Mm-hmm. And so my mom actually is not from Waco. She's from Ohio, from up north. And so they met in the confines of the church. Mm-hmm. And so my dad was a pastor in the AME Church. And so I kind of grew up part of my childhood in Waco early on. Mm-hmm. But some people are not very familiar with how the AME church works. Like pastors can be moved around, and so my dad pastored a church here in Waco called Dallas Howard for some years. Prior to that, he did pastor a church in Rosebud. I don't remember all that. I mean, I was barely alive.
Our last guest was actually from Rosebud. What's
Look
the
at that.
coincidence?
See,
So
Look at
maybe
that.
her mama, maybe she
Little
went to that church.
connections.
We don't know, but I know because there's
know.
only 5 people there,
five or six,
five or six. So yeah,
5 or 6.
but he
No,
was.
no hate to Rose. Shout out to Rosebud.
Shout out to Rosebud.
Okay, shout out to
He
Rosebud.
produced some great things.
We ain't go,
great people there, all the things.
and they got roses.
And
they bud.
And bud. Come on.
Hey, come on.
Rosebud.
That's it.
Okay, back to it. So that's where your dad started.
Yeah,
Your dad was there.
out there.
Okay.
Started down in Rosebud, moved to the Dallas Howard was the church, and then we were there for some years. And I was probably around like 9 or 10. We ended up moving to a small town called Athens, Texas.
Okay.
And that move was, I would say, probably one of the shorter periods of time I lived anywhere outside of Waco. We lived there for 2.5 years. But that 2.5 years, I would say, was probably one of the most vital and critical moments of my childhood.
Why? What would you say?
Well, when we first moved to Athens, I mean, it was kind of a culture shock for me. I mean, I think just going there, it was a very different environment than Waco. The city is smaller. I mean, of course, it's smaller. It's East Texas, so it's a very different vibe. So my allergies was on 12,000,
like they are today.
They worse. It was much worse. You go in Athens, you could go to your car and it was like yellow pollen that was real thick. So I had a hard time.
Yeah.
But I think the transition of going from having friends here to going to a whole new city, trying to learn new people, learn a new environment, being in a church that I wasn't familiar with. My brother, I'm sure he probably had a hard time adjusting as well, being in high school when we moved. But I think the elements of moving were really difficult, trying to build new friend groups and just trying to navigate a new city. But ultimately, my dad pastoring there grew the church that he was assigned to pretty rapidly. He grew it pretty rapidly, and it became one of those things that was we kind of got plugged into the community very fast. But for me, what really was the dawning moments was right around the time we started to really gain roots in Athens. My father actually passed, and so that moment was, I mean, it shaped a lot of the remainder of my childhood, well into my 20s, really. That moment of losing my father really, it changed my life.
How old were you?
I was 11 years old.
Okay.
When we lost him. And my dad, like we were very close. Like I had a really close relationship with my father. And the thing about my dad was he was a night owl. He liked to be up at night, and I was too. So whenever he was up, I was most of the time I was up. We would have conversations. We would talk. We would go on nightly car rides together. I mean, just he was one of those people that I really looked up to. And so losing him really changed the trajectory of my life. I think the moment that we realized that he was gone, for me, just how we found out was pretty traumatic in a way. I actually saw my father when he actually was when he fell, when he actually was passing. I kind of got moved out of the room, was sent with some friends until everything kind of died down. But I think just the image of that stuck with me for a long time. Like seeing my father kind of in a position where I knew he wasn't okay. That really changed how I viewed life. And this wasn't the first time I lost somebody, but this was the first time I saw the process of that, and was old enough to comprehend. Because I actually lost my grandfather when I was 6. And losing my dad, it felt like a part of me left as well.
Yeah.
And so the shift that really happened for me, I think that was the first time I felt loss in my body. I knew what loss was, but I think that was the first time I understood grief. And it hit me pretty heavy. It hit me pretty hard, changed my perspective of everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine at 11 years old, you losing your dad in such a traumatic way, seeing him pass. Being you said you felt it in your body. What do you mean, like you felt it in your body? Like,
so, I mean, I was a pretty regular kid up to this point. I was chubby. I like food. I would eat all the time. But, I mean, the day I found out my dad died, I mean, to the point that we moved back to Waco, I don't remember like eating. Like I don't remember enjoying food. It was almost a necessity of like, hey, you got to eat this. And it was really my brother. Like I really appreciate him because I think that moment really got us even closer. Me and my brother, me and Joe have always been close. But the way that he cared for me in that time really like shaped our closeness. But he would always look out for me and be like, hey, like you need to eat something, you know, and would try to make sure I got something in my system, but I felt myself shut down. I felt my body react to something that I couldn't express with my words. And so that was the first time I think I experienced grief where it brought in that element of like not eating, but I think I felt depressed for the first time. That was the first time I think I felt the feeling of depression. The first time I actually felt anxiety. All happened at the same time. And so that whole array of emotions were things I had not really experienced ever before that. And so that moment of feeling it in my body is like feeling all of these emotions swirling and the physical effects it's having on my body. I didn't really understand what was happening to me. But I think the other part of that too that's difficult is being aware of the people around you. You know, for me, seeing my mom, seeing how she was reacting to things, made it a lot harder to figure out how to express. So I think my body just took over in the process of that. So
I think about how our bodies respond to things that words can't. I think often we want to pin it with a word, but sometimes our body's just like, I just feel this, and because I feel this, I'm not going to do this. And so we often have to connect our mind and our body and to be one, because if not, they will think separately on their own. And so it sounds like there was a disconnect between like what your mind was what you're supposed to do, but your body's like, nah, I'm good. And I think grief will do that to you. And I think people don't think about the layers of grief. They just think crying, sadness, but what about the physiological? It's physiology.
Right?
The fizzy.
The physical. Okay, the physical.
The fizzy. What about the fizzy that happens with the body? it be messing with us. And so, man, so that happened to you at 11. Tell me how did life go after that experience? I know you're saying you first dealt with depression and anxiety. What were the next couple of events that led up to after your dad's passing for you?
So obviously, like I said earlier, I was in a two-parent household. So my dad and my mom obviously were together. They were present with me. I grew up with an older brother in the home. I have two older brothers, but one was already pretty much grown when I was younger. But my middle brother, he was with us for a while. And so I think the craziest thing about the transition out of leaving Athens was my brother actually graduated high school in Athens while my dad was still around. He went to college in Tyler, which was not too far away from Athens, maybe like 30, 40 minutes away. And so my brother is in college, my dad passes, and now we don't really have any route to stay in Athens. And my dad's side of the family is in Waco. My mom's mom is in Waco. We're all kind of trying to figure out what's the process of what we're supposed to do. And we decided to move back. And so we came to Athens with 2 children and 2 parents, and we're going back with just me and my mom. And so shifting from a 2-parent household to a 1-parent household, shifting from having a male figure around to not having my father. And my brother being around, but he's living his own life. Like he's having to establish his own life in another city that now currently from Waco's 3 hours and some change away. And so it was a shock to the system to change so much within a couple of years and then going into middle school with that change. So there was just so many different elements of change. So by the time we got to Waco, it just felt like I was starting a whole new life. And very different than the life that I had when I was first here.
Okay. So shifting all the way, uprooting. And that can actually be another shock to the nervous system. It's like there was just so many kind of shocks happening to you as you were trying to,
for sure.
In the age of 11, around that time, like there's a lot of things happening with like, hormones and, I'm not a boy. I know for girls it's intense. But for just in that, like the body, the age,
sure.
the changing of the mind, and all those things, the hormones, like all those play a part in like transitioning and coming into another level.
Yeah.
What was it like as far as like support for you, like in the sense of like, were you able to connect with other young boys? I know that, losing a father figure is huge.
Yeah.
And so there's probably a desire to connect with someone your age or connect with adults. Like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, with that void, it's like, well, what other male figures outside of your brother could you kind of lean on to? Or,
You mean like when my dad passed?
after your dad passed, when you transitioned back to Waco?
So I would say early on, no.
Yeah.
My uncle was around. Uncles were around. My dad's brothers, they were around, and so my uncles played a big part in like the male figures at that time, especially in my family. So they really were two people I looked up to quite a bit. And outside of that, I mean, I only examples of like men that I had around with them, and some of my other like associated uncles that were just around in the family. But I mean, I'm 11 years old, like in a transition from being a child to coming into boyhood, like early stages of manhood. Like 11, 12 is such a vital year in a young man's life. Even biblically, like we see that was a transition even for Christ. And so that's the time when you leave your mother and you kind of cling to your father to teach you how to be a man. And so I just, in hindsight, as a man now, I think looking back at that moment, it's like, okay, I was robbed of an opportunity to transition into manhood with my own father. And so what happened for me was that I was able to cling to my family in certain elements, but it was still missing a lot of pieces for me.
Yeah.
I think mainly because I always felt like I was in relationship through the confines of how my dad was, if that makes sense. Being in the position that I was in, like my dad was a preacher. So a lot of people viewed me as a preacher's kid. I was a PK. There was always this like, notion of like how preachers' kids are supposed to be. Now there's two notions. I mean, most people who grew up in church know them.
Well,
right?
okay.
There's two monikers for a preacher's kid. You in the church and you do everything. You play every instrument, you do every speech, you the usher, you make the food, you do all of it. You do everything. All right. Or the other moniker is you just a hardhead, knucklehead, you do everything that you ain't got no business doing.
Right.
And I think the crazy part for me was that I feel like I was right in the middle. But I lived my life on one end of the spectrum, but hid everything else. And so I think what happened for me was that I had turned a switch on almost, where it felt like I had to present myself a certain way to make sure my family wasn't disappointed. And I had to live a life that I wanted to live in secret. And so that transition at 11 and 12 really wasn't the hardest part, wasn't male figures at that time. I think at that moment in time, I was trying to understand the fact that my father wasn't coming back. And so I think the idea, knowing that my dad was gone, was there, but transitioning and really realizing like, yo, he's not, he ain't around, you know? Me and my mom had a rough time with that. And I think, it's probably like a weird way to put this, but there was one particular argument me and my mom had when I was around that age, and I'm sure she probably doesn't remember it, but it's something that's always been in my brain. I was having a hard time, and I mean, I remember yelling just like, man, like I wish my dad was here. And I remember her response was, I do too. And I just remember that breaking something in me, realizing that the grief wasn't just on me. Like she was experiencing some of the same feelings I was experiencing, but from a person who loved him in a different way. And so I think in that moment, I realized, okay, like I gotta grow up. Like I gotta grow up. Like this mentality of like being a baby is not gonna work. And so being the youngest sibling too, like played a big part in that. So being the baby brother, like being the youngest cousin in that specter, it did shape a certain perspective of how I should be in life. But I think those moments, like, mentally turned the switch on for me that I needed to grow up.
So do you feel like you got to do what a child would do at that time, or you feel like you had to? I mean, I hear you saying like you you in your mind said, I got to grow up.
Yeah.
Nobody pressured you to feel like you had to grow up?
In some ways, yeah. Like I remember when my dad passed, like people would tell me like, you got to be strong for your mom, or you got to be strong for this person, be strong for them. And in my mind, like the only thing that had been modeled to me as strong was not showing emotion. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm an emotional kid. I'm an emotional man now. And so it's like to not tap into something that is so easily available to me felt so opposite of my personality. But I felt like that was the necessity of what was needed. So I shut my emotions off in public and displayed one thing, but in private was battling all the time. And so the idea of manhood at that time was being shaped for me, like the idea that men don't show emotions, like, and the emotions that you do show have to be solid enough to inspire somebody else. And so it left me out of a picture that I should have been in. And so I think as a child, I displayed the attributes of what most people thought a child should show, but inside I was warring. I was battling.
Yeah. I think it's so tough when you're a child, again, like without the language and the people, the representation around to show you what it looks like to get through hard moments. You know, not trying to fast forward, but also just thinking of our child. Like, it's just like we have a son, and it's just like, how do we groom him so he will have the language to be able to express what he needs to express in the right timing? And not making him grow fast. Now, he wanted to.
Okay,
he wanted to grow. He already wanted to walk. You know, he's 6 months, and so it's like we can't stop that part. But in the case of like him having to grow up before his time, how that stunts kind of a piece of you in the sense of like being able to fulfill the childhood fantasies, dreams, desires. Like, you know, I want to go outside and just ride my skateboard, but it's like now, like you got to clean up. Like it's just you and your mama there. Like there becomes like this added pressure of responsibilities you might have to do based off of, you know, it just being y'all and nobody else there. And so did you feel the pressure of that, of feeling like you had to take up the weight of what having a man there will be, like having a father figure, a husband there? It feels like you had to take up that position?
Yeah, in some ways for sure. Like I think the biggest thing for me is even if it wasn't spoken, if it was felt, you know, like the absence of something, you know, naturally is going to be felt. And I felt like I needed to fill a void. You know, I think the biggest thing is like, you know, me and my mom, like we were close, but we were never as close as I was with my dad at that time. But obviously being in the position where we the only two, you know, we got extremely close. But I think even in the process of that, there were things that I noticed that I probably, as a kid, like I think most people who grew up in maybe urban areas probably saw it, but I think my mom did the best she could with certain things, but I could see when she was stressed out. I would see moments when money wasn't the way it should have been, you know, when things were happening with the house or whatever the case may be. I would notice and it would affect me. And not to the affecting me to the point where I'm talking to her about it. It's affecting me in my thought process of like, what do I need to do?
How do I fix it?
Like, how do I fix the problem? And I think that mentality carried for me, like well into my adulthood, where I had this mental like area or space in my brain where I felt like I had to be the person to hold something together. Even though, like, I would say high school was that time that I think I really started to kind of act out on that. Middle school, I feel like I was more so experimenting on trying to figure out like who I was or who I wanted to present myself to be, I should say. Because I really feel like, and I'm connecting some dots for myself, but the transitions from like Athens to Waco felt like I was having to reinvent myself more than one time. Because the person that I was, or the child that I was in Athens was not the child that I was in Waco. And so even the friend groups that I had, like I didn't go to like the normal like schools of Waco, you know, like most of the people that I know and learned to know later, you know, Waco has many schools, but I ended up going to a pretty small school. I went to Rappaport and, you know, they had its own stigma in itself, you know, growing up, you know, being like the second graduating class from there. We had a lot of stigmas with Rappaport. People thought it was a private school. People thought, oh, you got money because you go here. But the reality is a lot of us that went there were struggling. Like we had a lot of unique family dynamics. The difference that we had was that we actually were being pushed to learn. Like our education was extremely important. So I was a smart kid. Like I was never one that didn't like to do my work or couldn't learn really well. My dad was very on top of me when I was younger. So education was important to me, and I feel like I was very equipped when it came to my studies. But it still was like this hole, like a void while I was there that felt like I needed something else. And so my mom, she wasn't like, super, super strict.
Yeah.
But middle school, she was pretty like strict. You know, like it wasn't a whole lot of going over nobody's house, like doing a whole lot of stuff. So I didn't really get exposed to a lot of things right off the bat. But it wasn't until really like early high school, like really 8th grade, 9th grade, things started to kind of shift for me.
Okay.
So
Yeah. You said that there were things that you showed publicly, but there were things that you were hiding secretly. And so I don't know if you would mind sharing some of the things that were secret, as you, again, like you're trying to navigate your emotions, your feelings, like how you feel, what does it look like to express it, not having someone to represent that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there was a lot of things that you had to try to do behind the scenes to get some type of like relief in some way. What were those type of things like, or what became your vices to help cope with the pain?
So I mean, early on, like I always had a fascination with like smoking. Like that was like a thing for me. So like early as 12, 13, like that was a thing for me. It was like smoking. I didn't really drink like that, like not at that age. I mean, it was just few and far in between with that, but smoking was a big deal.
Yeah.
So was like, porn was a thing, like 12, 13 years old, it's like you discovering your body, like you're discovering what you like, all the things. And so I think just like, I was never like girl crazy. Like that was never a thing for me, but I still had desire.
Yeah.
So I think just a part of like discovering my body, like all the things, and that was obviously like a very like private thing, but it became like a normal. Like, it became a norm for me to the point where I think it just was expected.
Yeah.
Like you just didn't really think you thought everybody was. So
Right.
it's like, hey, everybody look at porn, everybody does this, so I'm like, I'm good to go. So I would say those were like two of the biggest things for me. But I think the smoking aspect like exposed me to a whole different group of people. Like I had like some friends that was smoking at that time. And then I had friends or people I knew that would say they smoke, but they ain't really smoke. But I got exposed to a lot of different types of people, and not just my age, but I got exposed to people older than me. Especially around the city. It was one of those things where it's like you could be in a different spot at a different time and run into somebody that I wouldn't see on a normal time, a normal day. Especially high school. Like high school was a different beast for me because I've always kind of been a bit more mature than my age group.
Because you had to.
Because I had to,
grow up.
in a lot of ways. So I think I gravitated towards like older men. And so while I had homeboys and friends, and people that I met through the YMCA, stuff like that, who were my age that was like doing street stuff, to some of them was just, knuckleheads, to just, some of them was just thugging. Some of them was just, just playing basketball. Like I met a lot of different people at the Y, which were cool people that I hung with, but I ended up gravitating towards older men that I would see around. And a lot of the ones that I saw wasn't necessarily the best picture of what I should be around, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think there was like this draw with my vices that drew me to another vice. So, yeah.
Yeah. So again, like the desire, because I'm just connecting, the desire to want to be around older men is probably that feeling of like father figure.
Yeah.
Like I want an older man to glean from,
sure.
to look up to see, to be around me.
Yeah.
And so I hear you saying that one vice led to another. So smoking marijuana led to another vice. And so I know a big, exciting part. It's, one of the parts, we were dating and it was probably like our third date.
Yeah.
A second or third date?
Yeah, third. Yeah.
Third date. And he had shared this part of his testimony with me. And I remember it was like a moment. Like we had, like we were playing pool. I was winning, by the way, if y'all wanted to know. I was playing pool, and he shared this part of his testimony, and I just kind of like froze, and I started crying. Yeah. And I remember he had never really showed any type of like sadness or anything around me. It's like you dropped a tear too, but you turned around. Yeah. And I came around you, I was like, it's fine to cry. Like, what you doing over I like, it's fine to cry. So here we are crying at a date, this is our third date, but that's just how quick and deep our relationship was. But it was such like a jarring moment for me, a drawing, because I would have never expected it. And so I definitely would love for you to elaborate a little bit on that. Sure. Device that led to another device, and what was device? What was the vice that it led to? If you don't mind sharing that part.
I think, I initially was looking for like connection, and like I said before, like I have a very close relationship with my older brother, with my middle brother Joe, and my older brother David. But again, like presence, like they're not living in the same city as me. I have uncles, and they were very great with me, you know. I think the element that I was missing was the rawness of it, though. I think I never really had anybody be raw, like, to me in the sense of just really showing me life from all angles. And the crazy part for me was that I was always attracted to, like, certain elements of, like, street culture. Like, 9th grade, 8th grade, really, like, it was, I mean, this may sound corny to other people, but, I mean, like, music was an exposure to me. So I listened to everything, but it was something about like the elements of like the street life to me that was attractive. Now, granted, my mom, like, she wasn't having that. Like, she wasn't playing none of that. So it developed again like this identity of secrecy. And so I just developed this way of keeping my own secrets, displaying what I needed to display to the people that needed to see me, and living the life that I wanted to live with the other people that saw me. And so the irony of that, though, was that I was creating multiple identities. Yeah. And I ended up getting connected with older men who were in gangs. And I ended up getting connected with that. And so it became a situation where I found a level of brotherhood amongst gang members, amongst dudes who were in the street. And the wilder part to me was that the ones that I was connected to were very adamant about, like, this ain't for you. Like, you ain't even about that. Yeah. Like, I was a hang around. Like, they liked the idea of me being there because I brought a lot of peace. I was able to speak eloquently as a young man. So I was in a lot of situations where I could be utilizing that. Like, I knew people. I knew how to maneuver without being exposed. So, dressing a certain way, looking a certain way, speaking a certain way, you're not really going to get caught up with certain elements of being connected to the gang culture. So for me, it was like, okay, like, I can navigate this by utilizing the other side of my persona. And so for me, it was like, okay, good kid, like, have all the elements that look like my ducks in a row, but I can utilize that to stay out of trouble here. And so it really was, I was playing two sides of the coin. And I remember, like, some of my friends in, like, high school, like, I got close to a couple of different people in high school that knew this about me for the most part. But even amongst my friends, like, I felt like that was something I had to keep hidden to a certain extent. There were some guys or some people that I was cool with in high school that knew that about me. But it still was like, like, I would rather keep that part of my life very separated from the other elements of my life. And that's how I lived. Was my school life was one life. Who I was hanging with streetwise was another thing. What I was at home and with my family was its own thing. And I didn't allow those three different items on the plate to touch. And so it was just, it really, I think for me, it developed this mentality of, like, secrecy. And that led to me not fully knowing who I was. And I think that was a detriment because, again, this is stemming from a person who has shoved his emotions down. Yeah. And so shoving my emotions down, I'm suppressing 3 different lifestyle emotions. And now there's moments in my life where these things start to surface. Yeah. But that connection to gang culture and gang life, like it drew me. It really did draw me.
Yeah.
And I think the part that may be surprising to some people who hear it, is like, well, I've known you your whole life, or I've seen this from you. And it's like, a lot of people have never really known my full element of who I am.
Yeah.
And I was intentional about that.
Yeah. My Lord. Because I remember, when you told me, I was like, I didn't believe you at first. I was like, wait, what? And you was like, yeah, I was in gang life. And I was like, what? Because to know RJ now is to know how sweet, gentle. Because I'm just going to be honest, like, a lot of people know this. Well, people that's close to me, I had a fake gang. We would call it the Girls in Blue.
Lord,
and so
Lord.
I used to make up that I was in the gang, and all our names meant something. So my nickname was T-Lo's because T for Tiffany, kick you low to the ground. And so it's made up. It was a whole made up.
That's a bar.
It was a whole made up thing. And then here I'm introduced to a man that I'm interested in, and he's a real gang. You were in the gang, like a gang member in the past. And I'm like, oh, my stories don't add up. And so, but the image you get of somebody in there is like, baggy clothes, like, a little teardrop tattoo, all the things, it just a certain image. And it's like, what you displayed, I didn't see any of that. And so it was just hard to believe that was truly where you came out of and that what you did. And so with that being said, like, what were the, I know you can't tell me details of like everything, but it's like, what were the things that you had to do? Like, is it true that you get like, you got to get jumped to get in, or I don't know. Like I watch shows, crime shows,
like blood in or blood out.
Yeah,
like, South Central. Like, you also got to understand we in Waco,
right?
And it's no like slight to people who still in that life. Like Waco got a lot of stuff going on, but it ain't always got to be all that.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm sure places in California, like wherever the case may be different, but it was more so like getting put down by just being a hang around, and being around enough that people was like, hey, like, go do this favor for me. Hey, go drop this off to this person for me. And it got to be a point where I was doing that on a regular, like leaving school, like go to the YMCA, meet somebody there, or go home on my way to the house. Like all the different situations would just make it fit what I needed it to be.
Yeah.
And so I think just being accessible, being well-spoken, being able to be knowledgeable about things. Of course, you got guys that look like exactly what you described: baggy pants to the bandana to teardrop, and even just the look in their eyes. Like it was dude that was real killers, and it's like, and still like you have those personas. But I think the element for me was like I had to be a smart person, and because it wasn't like I was in that particular like life or with those particular people because I felt like it was gonna make me have street cred.
Yeah.
It was more so because they accepted me. Like I think my introduction to it was different than how most people are.
Yeah.
Like some people it's because that's just where you live.
Yeah.
Like that's your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. But for me it was more so like I be around y'all a lot. So
might
as
well just join in what you're doing.
Like what's up?
Yeah.
And so I would hang around, be around enough that it was like, hey, like
you see some things you want to try to do something?
Yeah. Want to put you down. So it was like that for me.
Yeah.
Now, there were moments when I acted out. Like, most kids now don't remember going to the movie theaters, like, where the fountain and, Galaxy 16, like, being out there. Like, those were times when I did, like, want to flaunt a little bit. It was like, oh, I'm a wear the rag. Like, I'm going to be out here a little bit. Try to be a little bit more personified. And sometimes those moments backfired. Like it backfired many different times.
Yeah.
But the introduction to it was like being around enough that you gain people's respect and they gain their trust. And I think too, like because I wasn't trying to emulate anybody that I saw, that I think that intrigued them. Like particularly one of the guys that I remember, like we talked about this before. Like people's gifts and callings is without repentance.
Repentance.
People are gonna have their giftings even when they're not submitted. And so I saw a lot of that. Like I saw a lot of men who were moving apostolically. They knew how to build in the sense of, hey, like we need to gain this much money to do this, or we need these particular things. You had somebody that had the schematics in their head to really know how to run an organization. because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's no different than any other organization. It just looked different.
Yeah.
And so I think some people may hear like, oh, a gang, and it's like they have this mentality, a thought process that every gang is just dudes just running around with colors on
And shooting people. And
that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's just as simple as how cliques are. You know, and that's really all it was like a clique lifestyle, like people that just so happen to have similar interests, be in the same space. I just happened to be around men that were way older than me. And so there were men who operated apostolically. They knew how to build. They knew how to call out things in other people that they would see. And that was something that even was for me. It was like, hey, like, it would be moments when it's like, I need you to do this, this, and that. But then, hey, you don't need to be doing this.
Yeah.
Like, nah. Like, why are you here? Like, you a square. Like, you don't need to be here, you know? Or you ain't got it in you, like, to be in this long term. Like, this ain't a life for nobody like you.
Yeah.
And so I listened.
Right.
I did listen.
You got out.
I listened and I got out of there. I moved around. I gained enough respect with them. It was like, okay, like, it ain't never been like love lost or hatred in that perspective, but you know, I saw guys who were 100% evangelists. That's how it happened for me.
You got
like, drawn in by somebody, like smoking with a person that's like, hey, I want you to meet this person. Hey, I think you would be really good and connect with this guy, you know, that kind of thing. And so knowing how to recruit, like pull people in that you feel like can be trustworthy, that's evangelism.
Yeah.
It just looked different.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you got people that teach you the ropes.
Yeah.
Folks that tell you like how to not get caught up. Like what you need to do in this scenario, like how you need to handle yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Like that's a teacher.
Right.
You know, you have a pastor in every group. Every friend group, you're going to have a pastor.
You're going to have a pastor.
It's going to be somebody that's going to be the homeboy or homegirl that's going to look out for you. It's like, hey, like, she drunk, but I'm going to make sure she get home.
Yeah.
That's the pastor. And there's always one of those around. Ironically, I was one of those people. And so it was like that
It was
mentality.
already in you.
Yeah, like it was that mentality of like, well, I got to take care of people because I had a big heart. Even though I seen people be very ruthless, it's like I got a heart. Like I had a conscience. And so there were certain lines I was not willing to cross. Certain things I wasn't going to do.
Yeah.
And being able to give people a perspective outside of what they already know.
Yeah.
But then also prophetically, like when you have that utterance or that feeling like something's off, something's not good about this. And so I actually had a pretty close friend in high school, ninth and 10th grade specifically. We both were kind of experiencing similar things. And he was actually one of the only people I really trusted in this area of my life. Because like he knew my background. He knew I was a preacher's kid. Like he knew I grew up in church. And so he would always make those kind of jokes. But long story short, like he was in the Latin Kings. And it was one of those situations where me and him both were going through similar things at a similar time in our lives, and we connected on that. And that was another person that was just like, yo, bro, like, this ain't for you. This ain't your life. Like, and I ain't gonna let you stay in that. Like, you gotta move around.
Yeah.
You know, type of vibe. So
Yeah. Man, that's such a full part of your life and a full synopsis of what it was like to go through. And I think I hear certain things like I was searching for brotherhood.
Yeah.
I was searching for a male mentor, older man to be around, to glean from. I was being accepted, you know? And so these type of things, these type of feelings and desires, they can lead you to certain people and certain groups. And the thing about it is that we all have desires. And the thing about our desires is they can lead us to certain places. They can either lead us where we're supposed to be or somewhere else. And so your desires led you to this group. But then even in this group, it's like, you know, what I feel like it was like those angels where God was like, hey, like, speak this to him. Even if y'all high smoking, he probably like, bro, you ain't supposed to be here. Pass his bunt. You know, and like just God using people, even unsubmitted.
Yeah.
And like we said, gifts and callings are without repentance. That means God can use you regardless if you are with him or not. Yeah. Now we want to be with him because it's just better, you know. And not having a submitted gift means that you try to get all the credit and you don't give reverence to God. But what it sounded like is God was still putting those angels around you to hone you in and shift you to where you're supposed to be. Yeah. Now I know we can't say everything, but you already brought it up, pastor. You said you was already a pastor, so just I know there's a big chunk in between that we can miss. But how did you go from, you know, being in this ex-gang member I know there's many pieces in between to being a pastor. I know they're like PK kid. So it's like, people already assume that you're going to be,
Yeah.
you're going to be that.
Yeah.
But what was it like to accept the call? And like, when did that transpire? Like, because I know that you're going through these things through your life, but I know God was in the midst of everything, whether you was Reverend Tim or not. But it's like, what was the point where you were like, okay, I know you said you got out.
Yeah.
What was the shift to get to this point?
I think just to give quick reference, like it was like a short stint of my life that this was happening. But while all these things were transpiring, I was always connected to church. And so I never stopped knowing God in a way. And even in that element, like I always felt like there was a necessity to always come back to some element of who God is.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, obviously later in my life, like in the latter ends of my 20s, I had my own somewhat of encounter, I should say, with God. Like, I had been searching, really trying to understand, like, the spiritual elements of my life, because I had been battling a lot with a lot of different things. And at that time, I was really well into, like my painting and art, all that stuff, and stuff just wasn't going the way I wanted it to go. And so I was just about to be done with art. It was like, this is it for me. I'm through with that. And, God kind of pulled me back in, like hearing a visceral no to stopping was something that pulled me back in. And from that transition of that, meeting the right people, I remember at that time just feeling a hunger to try to change. And it wasn't a change from that lifestyle. It was more of a change in, like, I really need to get serious about what I feel the tug in my heart to. And that's really knowing God for real. And, we got together and we were dating and talking. And at that time, I was really on a heavy trajectory towards, like, really being sold out, like, for what I believed in. But I had not met really anybody who was living that life for real. And so the example of seeing how you walked, the way you carried yourself, the way you talked, was a prime example to me that it's possible. Hearing your story, hearing your testimony was one of those things that shaped and changed my perspective of myself. Because at that time, I was still living very similar, like secrets, living different lives, like trying to have a persona or a perception of what I wanted people to see. But that was the first time I had ever seen anybody live the same way in private as they do in public. And you exposing me to your life in all areas let me know that it was real. And so I think seeing the realness of God's transformative love on somebody's life made me hunger for that, made me hunger to really know his heart for real. And so that shift and that transition, like, really was shaped around time being in the presence of those who really sit with God. And so seeing how God is in your life, like, it changed me. It really did change me. It made me realize I could do hard things, And so I think knowing that I could do harder things through what I experienced watching you and seeing you pushed me to really want to have a deeper relationship with the Lord. And man, like, saying yes for real was one of the hardest things and the most brilliant and amazing things I ever did. And so that transition into ministry with you, just us growing together, like growing together in love, but also growing together in God, really was what changed me. Like, God knew what I needed. He knew I needed a pure example of someone who could hold my heart and also hold me accountable. And so that was the main thing that did it for me. So becoming a pastor was never a thought in my mind, but becoming a pastor became real when the Lord called us to it. And I knew he called us to it because he had been leading us to it our whole lives. So I think just the answer to the call really happened, before I was born. But it wasn't until I gave my own verbal yes that happened recently. So.
Okay. I didn't know that was going to go there. I mean, I didn't. I've heard your testimony, but I didn't hear that part. I feel a little bit shocked, and also just humble to know that the Lord used me to be able to lead you back to Him. I Yeah, I wasn't. I'm a little baffled for words. I'm trying to hold these tears in. Like the meatball. I'm trying to slide that mug back in. I can't break down on here. Y'all ain't gonna catch it. The crying.
Okay.
Wow. My God. Wow. Okay. So, pastor now, and what I mean, even again, like you said, like God gives you these giftings before you even know that you're operating. And so all your life, you probably was a pastor, with a diaper on, like, let's just get together and pray. What would you say now? Because this is what I know about you is that the skills that you learn in that small period of time when you're in the gang life, they still show up.
Yeah, for sure.
In these present days. Yeah. And what I mean by that is like when a demon try to pop up, when something ain't, sure. ain't right, I see you shift into a spiritual warrior, a spiritual, I mean, it turns, so that's what I feel like people can be encouraged about. It's like, of course, there's some things that we do that are not for God, but nothing's wasted. And when it's submitted, it actually goes to the right. Like, so it's like, man, I have a little aggression. Okay, cool. That aggression is supposed to go towards the kingdom of darkness. Hey, I got a little fire in me. Okay, good. Use that fire to bring down a stronghold or pray for somebody. And so I think for me, one of the things I've seen from you is like that energy hasn't been wasted. let me not feel well. Let me feel sick. You be like, I bind it. Demons run. Let me tell you that because they don't want to play no games with you because you about that life. And so I continue to see like parts of you, parts of that in your life now. What would you say is your biggest challenge? Per se, like being a pastor, in this day and age, like what would you say? I know we ain't got a lot of time, but we got a little bit of chunk of time.
Okay.
Little something.
I would say what I'm doing right now.
Right.
It's being open. It's
talking.
Talking. Okay. It's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult. I think the hardest thing about it is trying to mend all your experiences to be a catalyst to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And to steward people well. Yeah. Like I feel like that's the part that is hard, but it should be hard. Because if it's easy, you might not be doing it correctly. And so stewarding people is something that I feel like is a difficult part about what we do.
Yeah.
But I don't take that part lightly. And I think that's a necessary step for anybody who plays the position or is in the position that we're in. So.
Yeah. You can say that again. Stewarding is a tough situation. Yeah. But I love it because even you having the title of a pastor is just, it's not even you in totality. Even you having the past of a gang member, that's not you in totality. There's so many multi-layers of you.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful that you came and shared this piece of you. I think a lot of people want to know who you are. To know you is not you don't really say a lot. But when you do say it, watch out. Watch your eyebrows, watch your pearls, because it's going to come for you fired. But I think there's appreciation of that because people like me that talk all the time, they're like, oh, Tiffany always talking. But when RJ speaks, it be like, I don't know how many people I see, be like, oh, RJ speaking. And so the gifts that God has given you are in full display. I know now, and I know God is like, he's with you. And so it's just been a beautiful thing to see. I know that I'm still learning you. Even as we're together. And I know that there's parts of you that I'm still yet to meet. Yeah. And I'm like excited about it. I'm like, what's going to come out now? You're going to be like, I was a ninja warrior and my past life.
I was a ninja turtle at 7.
I was a ninja turtle. I was Michelangelo. At age 7.
Okay.
But also the beautiful thing about testimonies is there's many. There's not just one. And so I think even just you sharing part of your testimony, knowing that there's so many more other layers. I mean, there's the art, which, your shirt is a full display of your gifting. Like he made this, look at this shirt. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. He created this image on the shirt, which is a whole story in itself. I mean, if y'all haven't noticed, all the shirts I've worn, he made as well. So just a talented all around person. But I think the most beautiful part about you is your heart. And so that's what I fell in love with. I fell in love with the heart. Now, you being a gangster and all that stuff, that's wonderful. You know, of course, you know what I'm saying? Little thug situation, but, you know, your heart is what drew me the most. And I know that's what draws God the most, is your heart and what and how to steward other hearts well. Yeah. And so I want to say that I thank you for helping me, for stewarding my heart well. To have a good heart, to have a peaceful heart, a kind heart, it attracts other hearts. And so I think your heart has definitely like helped my heart beat in a more steady way. Yeah. But I'm grateful for you, and I thank you for your courage and honor to be able to speak on this platform. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So guys, This is the end of the season. I know people are like, you know, they want to do a lot of episodes, but this is where God has me right now. And so this is the conclusion of season 2. I thank you guys for joining me. I thank you guys who have been on this journey with me. I must shout out Jamal Gillis for his production qualities. He has been on top of it. He deals with me. He hears the story first. When I say he deals with me, he deals with me. There's so many moments where I know he like, ooh, I didn't know that girl's gonna say that. But he's been so patient with me, so kind. And so I just have to shout out his production company. It's a Black-owned production company, G-Fam Media Studios situation. I think I got it right. If I don't got it right, don't worry. I'll put it in the description on YouTube. But reach out to them if you are looking to do media things, or if there's anything that you have on your mind or your heart. He's a really good person to connect with. I'll put his contact on the link as well. But definitely want to shout out to him because he's been amazing. Some things that are coming up for me. I am currently working on my second book. So be on the lookout for that. I don't think I'm gonna stop doing podcasts. I think it's just, you know, I'm gonna sit with God and see what he has next and what that looks like. And so I'm not gonna be gone forever. So if you miss me, just go back and look at the other episodes. You're gonna be all right. But I'm just grateful for those who have joined, who have sat with me and listened and brought feedback and comments. I appreciate it. And I bless those that came on the show. I bless my husband who came on the show 3 times. You know, I'm saying this season because it's just so great. But thank you guys for joining. I will see you soon, and God bless you. Peace. All right.